Hey friends, today I'm in Belize and I'm visiting, well, I'm not actually in Belize obviously, but I was in Belize and I visited the Maya ruins at Xunantunich, something like that. Anyway, so there's the big X, but I'll put it down here and you can try to pronounce it and you can look it up online. I've still not quite got it, but anyway, very cool site. The highlight of the site is El Castillo. It's a giant pyramid, second largest in the country of Belize, I believe. From our resort in Hopkins Bay, it was about a 3-hour drive, which kind of sucked, frankly. Lots of jungle that you drive through, lots of stuff and things before you get there, but the actual ruins themselves were pretty sweet. Anyway, on to the tour. If you're driving to the Maya ruins here, you'll probably come through San Ignacio town in Belize. You could be coming from Guatemala, of course, but anyway, this is the hand-cranked ferry crossing the Mopan River. Dirk will be waving us to the front of the ferry here in just a moment. Keep it balanced. If you want, the operator of the hand crank will give you the opportunity. I was offered the chance. Hi, George. And we are slowly crossing the river. Once we're done over the river, the van picks us up, takes us the rest of the way up to Xunantunich. A couple quick notes as we get to the top of the hill. Near the start point here, there is a visitor center. It's actually north of my start circle, not where it's shown on the map. You'll walk up past these solar observatories for the solstices and the equinoxes before you make your way up onto El Castillo. Around the side, lots of steps here. It's 135 feet from the base of Plaza A1 to the top. If you have the fortitude, you'll make it all the way to the top. Take your rest breaks along the way, and here's me at the top with my son. And you may not know it, but I was about to vomit there. Anyway, too much information, I'm sure, but you make your way down from El Castillo. It's all downhill from there. Literally, I'll show you a picture of that later. You'll make your way past El Castillo and down to the ball court. Fun fact, if you were the captain of the ball court team and your team won, you could be human sacrificed. Anyway, the tour will wrap up through Plaza A2 into the royal residence and to the end, where you'll have a chance to go to the visitor center and see a dead dude.
So its population would have been around 15,000 people at its highest peak. Now the main highlight itself will be El Castillo, which means the castle. That's the second largest pyramid in the country of Belize. Because today you guys will also have the opportunity to make your way all the way to the very top.
Awesome.
Have a perfect view of the surrounding landscape.
Okay.
You see, once we're at the top, we are just less than 1 kilometer away from Guatemala.
Really?
All of the buildings themselves, even El Castillo, that's how it was. Covered by dirt and vegetation itself over the course of hundreds of years of abandonment. This building over here served a very important role. This was the gate into the city itself. So that means that any person making his or her way into the city would have had to pass into this building, pay a tribute to the ruling family of the city, and then, based upon your social status, would signify what the entrance you would have. Now the area that we were looking at over here is the market area. So in this area we would have individuals scattered throughout the area trading different items brought from different areas within the Mundo Maya. Located right at the end is the oldest building in this city. That's the very first royal residence. Take a look at something very interesting. You will always find a reference to 2 numbers within any royal building. A reference to the number 9 or number 13. 9 itself represents the levels of the underworld or hell, and 13 represents the levels of heaven. If you take a look at this building, count the doorways in this building.
Are there 9?
Yeah, there's 9 of them in total over here, representing the levels of the underworld. Life itself is considered to be a journey within Mayan culture. So all of these buildings would have been completely plastered and painted. When the sun itself hits upon that building, it would create this sparkle within the surrounding community, making them believe that this is where their gods are living. But it also substantiated as well a very important belief that Europeans used to believe that cities like this were constructed of gold itself. Over here now we have a public shrine. This big stone over here is called a stone monument or a stela. Right now, it looks like just nothing, with nothing in it, right? But back in the days, it would have actually contained a portrait of the ruler of this city with his best dressing, best jewelry, a magnificent headdress, and right at the bottom would have been a biography of the ruler.
Okay.
Name, some of the major events, ceremonies, warfares that individual would have been a part of within a 20-year period.
What's the stone in front?
The stone over here is a altar itself that was put in this place when the function of this building itself finalized its existence. So what they did, they brought this stone over here. It would have contained similar information like hieroglyphic information or writing itself. You guys will be able to hear how it bounces off perfectly from the buildings over here. So I'll go ahead and do that for you guys. Now that allows, if you hear the individuals at the top are
Yeah, you
having
can hear them
their
talking there.
conversation.
Yeah.
So you would be able to have a dialogue, a conversation with someone from the bottom to the top without the need of shouting. And imagine if you're the king, you don't need to use any microphone.
Yeah.
A normal dialogue and everyone will be able to hear you perfectly.
I don't know what you know about the Maya, but they were very observant of the sun and its movement and the stars and the night sky. These three pyramids, mounds on the east side of the courtyard are solar observatories for the equinoxes and solstices. In antiquity, there would have been some sort of sighting/target system up there, such that they were only lit up for the solstices or the equinoxes, depending on which mound you were on top of. Summer, winter, and the two equinoxes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Summer, winter, and the two equinoxes.
That's amazing. I'm guessing there's going to be 13
Correct.
up here. 13 right across.
Yeah, the 13 blocks over here, see?
Yeah.
One end to the next end, 13 blocks representing the levels of heaven.
13 levels of heaven. Okay.
Is a representation of the sun god, Kinichahau. Now, for the Mayas, the sun itself, the sun god was one of the most important gods himself. You see, they believe that this guy over here would transform from his celestial being bright and early in the morning. He would transform into the actual sun, and he would begin his journey to cover the 13 levels of heaven. When we reach at sunset, he would now transform into a jaguar, and he would begin his journey into the underworld.
Jaguar.
And then the cycle itself continues over and over again. Okay? This being the east side where the sun rises is one of the most well preserved one of them, and it has two levels of decoration. It has a bottom band and an upper band. We'll start from the center over here at the bottom. If you take a look at the bottom, there is a big mosque right at the bottom. That big mosque is a representation of the rain god of the Mayas, and this guy was called Cha'ak. Hear that? Cha'ak. That is the rain god. Moving to each side, Mayan construction is symmetrical. So what you see on the right side, you will be able to see on the left side. So moving to each side, there is a U symbol. The U symbol itself, a representation of a female goddess. Now, this female goddess was called Ishel. She was the goddess of moon, medicine, beauty, and fertility for the Mayas. So it is a representation of fertility itself. On each side now, there is a similar mask. Those masks are a representation of what we call the Paj god, which means music god. So we have music, moon, and rain. Three important gods for the Mayas. Now at the top, at the right end over here, you'll be able to see at the top a guy who's kneeling, and he has something holding on top of him. That guy is also a god himself. If we look at other ancient civilization, Greek mythology, Atlas holding the world in balance. So the Mayas believed that the earth itself was flat in this case. So they had this guy over here holding the world in balance itself. So there were 4 of these guys at each cardinal point, north, south, east, and west. And then moving to its left side, there's an empty squared box. The empty squared box are representation of a very important planet. Now, if we look at Greek mythology, Venus represents love, things like that, right?
Yeah.
Now, for the Mayas, quite the opposite. Venus represented death. It was, we could say, a bad omen itself. The movement of this planet itself would have allowed cities like this to be able to head into war and carry out sacrificial offerings of individual. So that's why it meant death itself. And then finally, at the center, at the very top, there is a snake moving from the north to the south. At the north, you get to see the tail, the body moving, and then the head to the south. Okay. And you get to see the fangs of that snake over there. That snake is called the feather serpent god, Kukulkan by the Mayas, or Quetzalcoatl by the Aztecs. What we're looking at over here is a sunken plaza. This is a private VIP section. So this is where you would be able to host any of your private parties, you know?
Okay.
Put in your...
Out of sight?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, spiny tail iguana. This is Belize. Right at the corner is where we have the actual immigration and customs control.
Okay. And Dirk's house over there.
So the royal family themselves would have been able to come in here, present their prayers and offerings to their gods. On the left-hand side, there is a next room. In that room over there, in the floor, an ancient game was discovered in which gambling was taking place. So Las Vegas and churches over here.
Yeah. Whether you are all in on the accepted archaeological explanation for how these sites are built, or if you think there's something else going on that we just don't know about, you'll enjoy a visit to the site. Xunantunich, I think that's the right way to say it. Anyway, here's the ball court that I mentioned earlier. There is also a royal tomb. This is the site of the largest tomb found in Belize, if I'm remembering correctly. Has a couple stela on either side of it. Well-weathered limestone, I believe. A green iguana. And just some various shots of the plazas. At this point of the tour, being in the jungle for a couple hours, I was hot, sweaty, stinky, and ready to get a cold beverage. Oh yeah, here's the dead dude hole. He's in the museum. Right there. Some restoration work. I can't tell if that is being uncovered or if that's restoration. Those are some awfully big blocks. Anyway, some last shots of people up on some of the mounds. Thank you to my members for your continued support. If you'd like to join, you are always welcome. Click the join button on a desktop session of YouTube. And after this, we'll be flying home from Belize. Stay tuned for that, and happy travels, everyone.